the ability to self-host is mostly a useless ability. It doesn't help you much at all. Unless you self-host to such a degree that you no longer have to interact with other people's code or other people's sort of bad stuff. Because as many of us know from experience, this is a massive time sink. You can be tremendously productive as long as you stay within your own space. And part of programming is trying to expand that space in which you can be tremendously productive. There is an interview with Ken Thompson that comes to mind. So let's look at that for a second.
Got it going, but then I had to test it. I had to load it up with work. I mean, you don't say read to get something back. That's any desk can do that. So I had to load it up, get it really test its throughput under different algorithms and things. And for that I needed some programs on the side to do that. And so I started writing these programs on the side. And at some point, I realized, without knowing it up until that point, that I was 3 weeks from an operating system with 3 programs, 1 a week. An editor, I needed an editor to write code. I needed an assembler to turn the code into language I could run, and I needed a little kernel kind of overlay, call it an operating system. And luckily, right at that moment, my wife went on a 3-week vacation to take my 1-year-old, roughly, to visit my in-laws who were in California. Disappeared all alone, and 1 week, and we had UNIX.
Yeah, I think programmers aren't quite as productive these days as they used to be. So from that PDP-7, things went on. Somewhere you enlisted Dennis, or he enlisted you. Do you want to say more about how that evolved?
When Unix was running, it was by far, even though it was a crummy little factor of 10 slower computer than the comp center, I started picking up really impressive users on this machine. It had 2 stations. It had the...
In the interview, they then go on to talk about lots of productive work they were able to get done once they had Unix up and running. And the reason I like this interview so much is that I recently have had the same experience with my operating system. So I have this OS computer project called Serenum, and there's been for the entire duration it's been released since November last year, there has been a compiler, a text editor, and a shell on it, but it's been sort of incomplete, except this most recent release was polished enough where I could actually properly start using it. And so over the course of 4 streams, I actually started working on a window manager because we want to have a graphical DWM style window manager on this thing. And it was really amazing how it didn't require much effort at all to get this up and running. It's got shared memory, inter-process communication, to do its stuff. And so the basic example here, I have runme, that's the actual window manager. And then we provide an executable for this screensaver program, which is demoing the other side of the IPC. And we have to pass it in. This is because of Serenum's, very private file system access. So we need to provide the file in order for it to be able to start it up. But here we go. Here it is. I can switch workspaces at the top here, and say if I'm in workspace 3 and I hit, mod enter, we get a window. That's very interesting with this, box that's bouncing around. I can go to other workspaces still. I can create a second window. That works fine. I can select between these. I can move the window to another workspace. The stuff you'd expect, and honestly, this was not that hard. The code for this window manager is maybe 1,000, maybe 2,000 lines. It really is nothing, and it's just amazing how productive you can be once you don't have to deal with these monstrous systems that are most of computers today. I need to continue work on this so that I think for the next release of Serenum, we'll see if it's polished enough to have this be the default. But certainly that is the goal, that to rebuild everything in here so that we can have a sort of a nice windowed experience. But it is just so amazing to me that it didn't require that much at all to suddenly unlock all this. I could be so productive on this system because there is really nothing to it. It's so simple. I understand how everything works. so there just aren't that many roadblocks in your way. And it's really, I don't know, it's very exciting to me to have this to work on. You can check out Serenum at taberna.shop. There'll be a link in the description. There's also samhsmith.com/Serenum for the project page. Check it out. I think it's cool. It's going to get a lot cooler as I work more on, especially this window manager stuff, but also adding network connection to do internet kind of things. Very fun.